hear someone like you talk as you did. So thanks, Josh. Really happy with that. It's the panel session now. I'll be honest, most of the questions have been answered in the chat. I think I've got a couple of questions. So the first one, I'm hoping Deborah Elliott is still online, Director of Transformation Armed Forces Healthcare. Are you on, Deborah? Okay, we'll move on slightly. Is Professor Tim Briggs still on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. There's a question in the chat there. What do you think the next steps are really for VCHA?
So I think, again, I was going to sum up at the end, actually. I think Josh made really the reason why we're doing this. And Josh, I want to thank you for that. And Alex, it's good to see you. And I think you've done a great job on Josh. That 3D reconstruction is quite something of his femur. I think that what we've learned about today, Guy, is in terms of where we're coming from, where we are now. But as we said, we're not sitting on our laurels. I think the training education program is critical. I think for the Centre for Excellence, the Armed Forces community, and what we've learned about the Covenant Fund Trust, and this afternoon has really given me great hope, because as Josh said, the NHS has moved forward and is not the same as it was in 2010. And I think that demonstrates the impact of what we've done, but we've got to build on that. And I think the training program will continue to do that. I also want to thank, just as a matter of interest on that, we heard from a number of people, didn't we, about their experiences of life in the army, what their experiences were, etc. I think we've got to make sure the workforce is looked after. But from what I've heard from the hospices, from Nuffield Health, again, tells a really good story of spreading the word, meetings like this, to make sure that the VCHA oversees, if you like, encompasses what we do with veteran care. And I think we're going to have a major role to play over the next 10 years and building up the success of today. I've been blown away by it, to be honest with you, Guy.
Cool. Thank you very much, Tim. I'm hoping we've got Deborah on. I think we've had a bit of a technical issue because, of course, only the speakers were allowed to speak. So I'm hoping Deborah's there. Deborah, can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, I could hear you loud and clear all along. Sorry, I'm back.
But you couldn't
I was
speak.
here waving at you, but couldn't speak. Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, Deborah. We've got sort of two questions for you, oblique Kate, I suppose. What the first one is about the national training and education.
Kate is here too, but I'm.
Oh, sorry, Kate. Thank you.
Good.
Sorry, I've got about 200 and odd people online, so it's difficult to go through all the attendees. The question is about national training and education. Is that going to become mandatory training?
So Kate might want to come in on the back of this. At this point, we can't make it mandatory, and so we're going to roll out. But the intention is once the organisations have all settled down, you know, the integrated care boards are all going through massive change, acute trusts to some degree, and the neighbourhood teams, the primary care unit. So once the NHS is back in settle mode again, we'll be picking that back up again and looking forward to take that and progress it. Thank you.
Did you want to add anything to that, Kate?
Look, there are lots of elements in legislation that the best way for people to want to be part of it is because they want to be part of it. And so I think our aim is to get everyone to understand why this is the best thing to do as an organisation, in the same way that we do many other elements of training. But, you know, I am aware that there are elements of training like safeguarding, even down to obviously, you know, kind of the way that we look at fraud or digital that we make as part of a mandatory package. If in time it feels that it's a good way to do it, then absolutely that may be an option. But I think that most of the people, and certainly most of the stories today, and I'm really sorry that I've had to dip in and out, but a brilliant tag team with Deborah and my team as always, and Guy and Tim. I think ultimately we really want to get round and make this something that people see is a gift, and also maybe in time we'll need to make it a little bit more formal. Thank you.
Great. No, thanks, Kate. And the next question really is about the NHS app that came in sort of a little bit later. It was recognising the 10-year plan analog to digital. The armed forces community are not currently recognised on the NHS app. Is there any plans to include that as a cohort?
So Guy, shall I pick that up? So I'm doing quite a lot with Ming Tang and others regarding digital in the NHS. I'll take that away, and I'll report back.
Right.
Your answer, Tim, is exactly the same as mine, as it often is. I've also discussed with Ming those options, as has Deborah. So there's a lot of work to do to get the technical solutions across the NHS. The reality is that we've brought in the appropriate requirements for digital care, particularly in primary care, for veterans and the armed forces, men and women and families. And that is something that obviously would be a really important next step. So discussions are already underway, but timing is everything.
Great. No, thanks, Kate. And the final question really is, what accountability and governance will CEOs of trusts be held to if they do not collect the data and ask the question? In terms of the Armed Forces Covenant, I suspect.
Yeah, I saw that question earlier, to be honest.
Yeah.
And Deborah and I often talk about this. This is our responsibility, to be quite honest with you, as a national team going forward. So I think it's going back to Deborah's answer also earlier. You know, it is really important that beyond April 2027, which is the, if you like, the end date for legislation and the shift around the merger and the full suite of services, that we do get oversight and assurance of key areas of patient pathway and patient care. And this is one of those. And it's written into the functions and the national team's work going forward. So I'm very confident that that will be something that we will continue to do. I mean, to be honest, we do some of that now. It's been a bit of a changing sort of pattern with obviously governments and ICBs and different structures at the moment, but part of the work that we're doing as part of the national team beyond April 2027 is to support the oversight and assurance that DHSC, that the regional blueprint have, but also really give, I have to be honest, particularly the ICBs working with veterans and civilians, and a lot of the real knowledge to do this with gusto and ambition. If any trusts don't do the right thing, that's what VCHA is about. That's what GP accreditation is about. That is also what the national team is about.
Cool. Great. No, thanks, Kate. And before I hand over to Tim Briggs as the chair of VCHA, Kate, did you want to have any final words?
Look, I just, it never surprises me. It never should. I should never get complacent. None of us should, really, I suppose, is my passing words about individual impact, story, people's lives that matter, that are improved and changed. But I think it's the simple stuff as well today. It's the simple stuff about making quite sure we ask the questions, making quite sure that we make the connections, and making quite sure that we don't go back from all of the work that we've managed to achieve, and we just keep going forward. So thank you, Tim. Thank you, Guy. Thank you to everybody for being there today. And thank you for lots of people who've really put their hearts and their lives on the line as well for us. Thank you.
Thanks, Kate. Much appreciated.